Good morning. Who are you and why should we care about you? We haven't established who you are
yet.
My name is Dawson.
There he goes.
Yeah, I'm the guy down at the Wedge, man, you know? Putting in hours a day for the last half a decade. Yeah. And it's what it takes, at least, you know? Wedge. And I'm still almost a newbie to some of these guys, you know?
For those listening and watching, I kind of wanted to explain how Wedge works. The wave is called the Wedge in Southern California in Orange County. And basically, the Wedge is one of the more popular waves in Southern California, if not all of California or the US. How the Wedge works is you have a jetty, which is basically a bunch of rocks that goes out into the ocean like a quarter mile. So it's like a big wall almost. And then you have the waves that come in from the ocean at a certain angle, and then they hit the jetty, like this right now. If people are watching, you can see. So the waves come in and hit the jetty, which is the wall of rocks, and then that side wave bounces off and creates a different side wave like this one, and then the side wave goes into a different barrel. So that's kind of how it works.
So you said you moved down here 5 years ago. What were you doing before then?
Well, I was in Newport. I'm actually a legit full-time hairstylist, so I do hair for a living. I've been cutting hair for the last 10 years at a salon in Fashion Island. And
so wait, you moved here, so you said for the last 5 years you've been here, but you've been in that salon for 10 years.
Right, so I've been in town for 10 years. I've been surfing Wedge for 5 years. Okay. I kind of was just getting my feet kind of, wet a little bit. Yeah, I think the first 5 years I was just dialing in my work. I was an apprentice the first year at my salon and just building my clientele from there. And then I knew about the Wedge, you know. Growing up in Hawaii, I'd watch, videos on YouTube and stuff, and
which is ironic as heck. So Dawson is from the North Shore, and the irony of that is you're from the North Shore, and you're growing up watching videos of the Wedge.
I know, it was such a trip, you know. We have all these waves that are fingertips out there, but of course,
fingertips. I've never
heard
Wedge.
That. I mean, if you go look at old videos of the Wedge on YouTube, it's pretty insane.
It's a rowdy day, dude.
It's a rowdy day. I mean, this old footage, and you got these 25-foot, bombs coming in,
and dudes with like little speedos.
Speedos,
just,
yeah, exactly,
on the waves,
exactly. Banana hammocks.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, they were holding it down back then, and they still are. But nowadays you got board riders. You got surfers, boogie boarders, Wompers, the whole shebang.
Catch surfers, Groms galore, dude. So you moved here from Hawaii. You're from the North Shore of Hawaii, and you grew up surfing, I assume.
Yep. Yeah. My whole life.
Okay.
It's right there, right in the mecca of everything.
And what was it like being around? So you grew up around a lot of the more well-known surfers today, I assume, around them at least.
Yeah.
And how did you feel? Was it fairly competitive on the day-to-day, or was it people doing their own thing? And did you know what you wanted to do within surfing? Because a lot of those people are I want to be a competitor, I want to be on the WSL tour, that's what I want to do. Did you want to go on that path, or did you know that wasn't something that you wanted to do?
I think at an early age, you're still trying to figure out what you exactly want in life, and a lot of times, I grew up in kind of a broken family, so my dad raised 3 of us. My mom wasn't as much in the picture, and then you had families who, mom and dad were pushing their kid, doing every surf comp, pretty much just creating this beast of a surfer at such a young age.
That's so prevalent now, and places like San Clemente is super popular just because every kid is prodigy.
Right, exactly, prodigy. I definitely surfed with a passion growing up, and definitely more of a soul surfer. I think you learn that from an early age. It's all right, am I trying to do this competitive thing, or am I just kind of trying to cruise and enjoy the likes of being in the ocean and being one with the water kind of.
So it's less of a competitive mindset.
Less competitive, yeah.
Okay. And then did you just find that throughout, did you try competitions and stuff when you were younger?
I did a few, yeah. They've got a few out on the islands. They've got this one called the Menehune Surf Contest.
Okay.
So there's a couple couple little surf
Couple
comps.
little grom
Little
straps.
grom comps
Yeah,
that, you know,
grom comps.
Grom comps that we all did when we were younger. You start to realize if that's meant for you, you know?
Yeah. And it's
'Cause-
funny how you can know at such a young age.
Yeah.
When did you figure it out?
I figured it out. I was still in elementary school for
Really?
sure. Yeah, I was
That
probably
young?
in 6th grade, and I was just like, you know what? This is not my calling.
Yeah.
I enjoy surfing a good amount, but I also enjoy other things in life. You know, like being social with my friends.
Yeah.
And
And you noticed that in elementary school too.
oh yeah,
crazy.
skateboarding.
Yeah.
Surfing, hiking. I mean, the whole 9 yards out in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Growing up in Hawaii, man, you know, just set the tone for my life. And you know, I moved out here 10 years ago.
But it's quite a different tone than like what the standard like Hawaii surfer is.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna surf pipe and be the best pipe surfer in the world.
Yeah.
Versus you're like, oh, I'm gonna move to California and like cut hair.
Right.
And then like surf wedge like a freaking beast.
So I got lucky because, you know, a lot of kids out there don't have much going for them, especially if they aren't gonna be, you know, the top guys
Yeah.
in the contests. And so I ended up having a calling. You know, I had an opportunity put right in front of me, and it was that of becoming a hairdresser. And so I seized the moment, and
Yeah.
I came out here, and I went to hair school, and I got all that out of the way, and that was up in Santa Monica, and I moved down to Costa Mesa, and I've been in Newport, Costa Mesa area for the past nine years now, and yeah, like I said, you know, part-time barista, full-time wedge rider. I mean, if the waves are good, I'll be here. I'll be here 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I'll make time, you know.
Wow.
It's my it's my go-to thing,
Yeah.
man. I mean, you know, we all have passions, and mine's surfing wedge. It's a different kind of surfing, honestly.
which is so cool, though.
There's a lot of variables involved.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts. I think that's the main thing that gets me so wired to
Yeah.
it. It's just like these moving parts, you know, the build up, the anxiousness before you even get here, you know, pulling up to the parking lot and getting some boards ready. It's all part of it, you know, and you know, once I'm out there, it's, you know, I just get put into this. It's game on,
Yeah.
and I get put in this meditative state of just like this calmness kind of just hits me.
Everything falls away.
Everything falls away, and I just, you know, I get into this zone, and it's kind of like my reset button, you know. It's just something that, you know, if anything's going on in life, and I'm not too pumped with a certain situation, and I'm not too stoked, you know, go down to wedge and suit up and paddle out, and it just, everything goes out the door.
Yeah.
And as soon as I get in that water and I catch a first wave, I mean, you know, I am just like ecstatic, you know, even if it's like a shitty day.
Yeah.
I'm just stoked immediately. I will say, I think we should wrap this up right now.
Okay.
Sunrise is happening.
We're out there.
The colors look insane in the sky, and I think there might be some waves.
Okay.
So I think we should
We will be back.
we should suit up.
Yeah, let's suit up,
and
as it were.
you know, clean up too.
Dialed.
We're walking up right now, going to check it. Hopefully, so you don't want the, you can hear it. You don't want onshore wind. And right now there's not too much onshore wind.
Yeah,
We'll
not
see
too
though.
much.
How do you feel right now? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Man, I mean, like I talked about earlier, the adrenaline starting to kick in.
Even just walking up.
Yeah. My blood is starting to come, started to boil a little bit.
Little boil of blood action.
Yeah, and there's some waves. I
Definitely
see it.
waves.
It's coming in, it's pumping. Yeah, check it out. You'll get a nice explosion right here. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Game on,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, game on. It's glassy. That's a good sign. Weather's a big factor here at Wedge, so you know, if there's swell and the wind sucks,
You're screwed.
it's a no-go. But looks like we have a little window, and we're gonna get on it.
Oh yeah. We'll see you out there, kids.
Yeewbra.
Welcome to Wedge. That's Dawson. It's pretty sick. Swimming out of Wedge is not easy. You basically just wait until sets come and then you get destroyed.
What's up, yo? We just we went to Wedge. We did a sick Wedge sesh that I barely got any footage. And what else happened that day? It's like 4 days later. No, it's like 2 weeks later, actually.
Oh yeah. Oh, that one day we both going down. Yeah.
That was
so.
Yeah, this is a couple days later. We're just gonna go over some clips, and I'm gonna put them right here, and we're gonna show you what we're talking about while we're talking about it. And then Dawson's gonna explain what was going on inside of his brain.
Sounds good to me.
Yar. All right.
Give you guys the full lowdown.
First clip. Let's check it. So, this is a GoPro clip. This is at Wedge. And why did you pick this clip to show? Dawson picked most of the clips
so
to show.
This is definitely a pretty money clip as far as GoPro videos go. No water spots, very hollow barrel. You know, everything about it just kind of came together, from just the wave itself to my positioning.
Yeah.
You know, if you can tell kind of from the beginning, I'm kind of chipping into this wave, and I'm setting my line, kind of getting past that whitewash, and then the whole wave just, I mean, it just all stands up super nice. As far as a barrel goes, you can't get much better than this. You know, it's almost like
this is just like iconic barrel to you.
Sheet glass oil painting type of barrel.
Wow.
You know, so you're pulling in, that whole thing's going completely over you. You notice that spray, that kind of misting factor that happens kind of at the
Towards
end of the wave.
end.
Yeah, and it just adds that component of just like I don't know, it's just a very interesting feel of that mist just going whoosh, and it's kind of a,
yeah,
it's a sick thing to happen. Usually what you ideally you want to, you know, have that spit, you know, spitting you out of a barrel, but you know, this is technically a closeout, which is 9 out of 10 waves at the Wedge. And you know, everything about it, from just the lip coming over me, my GoPro angle was right on point, kind of facing forward. Usually when you're riding, your head's kind of down, so you got to kind of angle your GoPro accordingly.
Yeah.
And this clip just came all together, and got a nice vision for all you guys at home.
Yeah.
If you've never been barreled before,
dude, that's
insane.
insane.
This is what it looks like.
It's psycho because I think so this is just like the ideal closeout for you. Like this is like pretty much perfect closeout.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
there's different parts that make it way better than a normal one. The main one is the travel time. So the amount of time that you spend kind of in the barrel. Sometimes closeouts can be really fast and abrupt. This one kind of lasted a little longer. You know, there's almost kind of 2 sections to it, if you must, you know.
Wow, dude.
And
I've never seen anything, any clip where it shows what it's like when it closes out.
yeah,
So it's closed out right there.
right there.
And then you still see that spray, and you're still like, and are you conscious of this? Are you still like seeing this, or
Yeah.
is it so fast that it's just like?
It's fast, but in that time, in that moment in time, everything kind of slows down too.
Yeah.
Because your brain is going a million miles an hour, so you're kind of up to speed with how fast the wave is going.
What I think is crazy is just like, this is the part we don't see. Like, just like I'll show you like a land clip, but like in a land clip, you see the person going down the line, or you, and then you see it close out on them, and that's it. But this is like the obliteration inside the wave, and that
Oh, for
second like little explosion,
Yeah,
that is nuts.
yeah. So you can still see it.
And
you
then
know.
it's still there, and there's like light. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a trip. There's
Wow.
it becomes a dark place pretty quickly, with just, you know, you being
Dark as in
encapsulated
like
by
actually dark.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
you know, it becomes a cavern at one point, with all the sand being dredged up out of the bottom of the wave, and it gets dark real quick. But yeah, this was
You
a
can
money
literally
clip.
see the like roof, the like ceiling of the ocean. It looks like you're underwater and you're like looking
Yeah,
up.
exactly. The idea to be surrounded by water without like touching it, it's almost like a what am I trying to say?
No, that's interesting
You know,
that you
just
describe
with
it
the,
as
the
like
walls being kind of separated. Who did that?
Jesus, I think, did like
Yeah.
the Red Sea, parted the Red
Right.
Sea or something.
Well,
he,
no,
he
it
just
was
got barreled.
Noah's Ark or whatever. I'm
Excuse
super bad
us,
with,
yeah.
with biblical history, but yeah.
This
So
is
just being
so
like
cool.
surrounded by water, and you know, it's a crazy feeling. You know, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, that's a great barrel shot.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. moving on. Clip numero dos. This is yet again another barrel. Wow, talk about getting like light to dark, and the light's super good.
Yeah,
Then just,
exactly.
boom, just blacks out. That's super cool. That's super quick. So yeah, you wanted to talk about the 360 cam.
Yeah, so this
the
is
GoPro Max that you
yep.
use.
So this is filmed with a 360 GoPro, which just pretty much means you're shooting GoPro in every single direction while you're holding it. So it has 2 lenses on the GoPro. They both shoot 180, 180, 180. So it equals 360. So you have that full visual all around you, and within the programming of GoPro, you can, on the app, you can kind of edit it and point it in the right direction that you want to shoot.
Yeah.
And in this case, I kind of pointed it
so
forward,
dark.
and yeah, you got the full sunset in the background. And
look at that. There's like a little bit of like light, and
right.
then and this is also a great angle too, because it shows what it's like in the closeout barrel, like
right.
what the falling actually looks like.
Exactly. So you're gonna see me, kind of holding on, standing up pretty straight, and then right towards the end, when I know that wave's gonna finish, I'm kind of jumping off, kind of almost forward, away from my board. Trying to.
Is that just the main goal? Is just to get away from your board? Because that's
a little
like the
bit
main thing that can hurt you, or what's the idea there?
Yeah, I think just kind of falling into like trying to find a soft spot in the wave, which a lot of times when that wave closes out, the bottom of you kind of opens up.
Yeah.
And you end up falling a few more feet than you think, and sometimes it can bottom out so much that you will fall all the way to the bottom of the sand, and sometimes you can hit the ground,
pretty
full
hard.
speed.
Yeah.
And that's when shoulder injuries happen.
Yeah. And how fast are you going normally?
Dude, in these videos, you're probably going between 15 miles an hour.
That's pretty. That's pretty
15
quick.
15 to 20.
Yeah.
It's definitely quick. We got this clip right here. This is from yesterday. You can see me starting off on that side wave.
Wow.
And immediately the wave just kind of teepees over me. And, I'm pretty deep.
You're fully standing up. And how tall are you?
I'm like 5'9".
Okay.
5'10" almost.
So that's like that's a pretty big barrel.
Yeah, so you got a solid shack. Kind of had a 2-section bit to it, which
section
feels
is
really
like
good.
what?
Yeah, it's kind of that lip coming over you. So if you pull in, the lip goes over you, you're in it, and you come out. That's kind of one section.
Okay.
This one kind of had like it threw,
so is
covered
that the
me
first
up.
Section?
First section, and then the next section kind of throws over a little bit more. So it's kind of a little bonus, Okay. And that just tops off the cake, that much better, cherry on the pie, really.
Shout out to the homie girl who got this iPhone.
Yeah, Jagger got the clip.
That's so
pumped, dude. Thank you, bro. This is actually a super rad clip, mostly because it is very similar to that last one we showed, because I make it out, but it is the visual from inside of the wave coming out. Ooh. So very similar to that last ride.
Yeah.
A little less deep, but very much so the same kind of setup.
And what does deep mean for people also who
So yeah, deep just means the distance between the end of the barrel and kind of where you are.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of essentially farther away from the end of the barrel, you're deeper. And so that's really the name of the game is to get as deep as possible.
Okay.
And still be able to travel through that barrel and make it to the end. So, in some people's eyes, this would be more of a head dip, a little cover up.
Less of a full barrel. And then what are you doing? And what are you doing right here?
Yeah, so this is me.
You can see the end of the wave coming in, and that doesn't look fun.
Wedge is just, it's gnarly. Once you come out of that main wave, there is like a side wave kind of coming at you, and it's notorious for closing out on that shallow. I mean, that water right there is probably 1.5 feet deep.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to essentially jump off my board, puncture the water, and try to get kind of out the back, so that lip of the wave isn't gonna just detonate me and pound me to smithereens.
Yeah.
But you can see that lip just coming down, and I'm kind of going into a dive position and trying to get in, like through the water and kind of out the back to safety.
And people don't realize too that it's like, well, actually they might or they might not, but it's like a foot. It's like really, really shallow.
Yeah, it's super shallow.
And you can see this like kind of in that clip. Is this
Yeah.
Charlie?
No, it's not.
Okay, it looked like Charlie.
Yeah, it kind of does.
But this is all
Yeah.
super, super
Right.
shallow.
And it's shallow, and there's a lot of water drawing off the sand. So you're trying to like keep your line, you know, on your board, but at the same time, this water is just drawing off the sand. So it's kind of trying to pull you almost off your board and you know, wipe you out quicker.
And then this lip is just detonation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's,
And that's your biggest goal, right? Is just avoid the lip.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lip is just, you know, not what you want to connect with, and it's never a good time. I've been lipped before, and I've had some close calls in the past.
Getting lipped.
Yeah, and it's just you know, it's a risk you're taking going down to the wedge.
Yeah.
So it's pretty mental.
And people watch from shore and they'll see you getting like in the barrel and then closed out.
Right.
Which I guess you're not, because you came out of this right now. But like in that earlier clip, when you got closed out, does that
Yep.
like, people are probably like, oh, like, ow, like that kind of hurts.
Right.
But is it like really hurt, or like, I mean, we see you kind of fall, but then, yeah, like how much is that like hurt versus it just being like, oh, whatever, it's just the end of the wave?
Yeah, it just depends, you know. Sometimes you get out unscathed, you know, and you don't get hurt. You know, you don't get smashed or ragdolled too hard.
Yeah. That's so
Though there's
perfect.
other times that you'll do, you know, 5 or 6 spins underwater, and sometimes, you know, your limbs will kind of get pulled around, and you'll get that ragdoll effect, you know, like you know, they call it spin cycle, you know.
Spin cycle.
It's like a laundry thing,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
You get put into this almost terminal velocity, you know.
Yeah.
You just get sent and you start spinning and flipping, and you know, you could bonk your head on the sand pretty hard, pretty easily.
Yeah.
But it's all just about awareness, you know, kind of knowing where you are in space and time. As kind of scientific as it sounds, it's super true. You know, your instincts kick in out there, and every little twitch and turn, you know, that you make in these split seconds determines everything that's going to happen. So, you know, if you're not preparing that next millisecond, every second, it can turn deadly pretty quick. Yeah.
This clip, which
Yeah.
is what? You eating
Yeah,
shit.
the epitome of a pretty bad wedge wipeout. In any form of wipeouts.
dude, that is so
this
brutal.
Is what you don't want to happen.
That's getting lipped, as it were, right?
Yep. So, I mean, essentially, I could break it down.
Yeah, break it down.
Let's start it over real quick.
Okay.
Here I am, starting down the line. You know, I'm kind of setting my line.
And you're on the side wave, right?
Yeah,
first?
yeah,
Can you
so-
talk a little bit about how that?
Yeah,
how that
exactly.
Kinda works?
So as far as the wedge, it's actually a man-made wave. They built this huge jetty back in the 30s. The Army Corporation built this jetty for the Newport Harbor to block swells from kind of coming into the harbor mouth.
Yeah.
So they built this huge long jetty. So essentially what happens now is a wave will come in, it'll hit the jetty, it'll refract off the jetty, and then it'll connect into the second wave coming in. So what happens when that first wave refracts off the rock and goes into the second wave, it kind of wedges the waves together and kind of multiplies
Wedges.
that energy. Yeah, exactly. It literally wedges together, and it can double the size of the wave. You know, with other spots being, you know, 3 to 4 foot, wedge will be kind of, you know, closer to that 6 to 8 foot range.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's what happens, and that's why it's notorious for being so wild. But yeah, so here I am carving down the line, looking way down the line. I know it's going to barrel, so I'm setting
And how
it
do
up.
you know it's gonna barrel?
You can just tell a lot of that water being pulled off the sand, and a lot of water kind of over the top of you. So yeah, right here I'm pretty much as deep as I'm gonna get. I know that the wave is gonna close out super gnarly on the end section, and that happens. So what I did wrong was I probably should have just pulled into the barrel straight and packed it. But with us surfers,
Impacted as in like you wanted to go like
just
like,
go
take
straight
the clothes
into
out?
the wave.
Yeah.
Just take the clothes out and just get pummeled a bit. But you know, us surfers, we get a little greedy, and we wanna finish the ride completely and ride out, you know, without falling. So you end up trying to straighten out, but then you have this huge lip chasing you from behind.
That frame.
And with all that water drawing off the sand, you lose all of your speed going towards the beach. So that lip ends up catching up to you from behind.
So
And
it's just like pulling back in
Pulling
the water
back.
while this is coming up.
Exactly.
And then that makes you, it's like a treadmill.
it's like a treadmill,
just on
yeah.
the treadmill.
Right. And that water's going under your board, and
Yeah.
you're making no headway.
Dude.
And what can happen is you can get lipped in the head.
And did you,
as
so why
seen.
are you not like looking up and like seeing if it's gonna,
Yeah, it's just, you know, everything's happening so fast.
Yeah, that's
and
true. Come on, Dawson.
I'm so focused on trying to not let that happen, but it did. And, you know, I did get lucky on this.
so what does that feel like?
Yeah, sometimes it can feel really bad.
It's just
This
in the
one,
fucking head, dude.
this one looks a lot worse than it was. I did get pretty exploded. Kind of feels like a grenade going off around you, and you're kind of being blown.
And are you like
Full flying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes that wave can explode so hard that you almost get like air.
I mean, if you just look at the frame, it explodes so hard that the whole frame is just wave.
Yeah, just all water. So Wedge is known to just have these huge explosions, you know. The wave could be 6 to 8 foot, and the explosion could be up to like 25, 30 feet in the air. It's wild. So
That's so gnarly.
yeah.
And so what's happening when so you get exploded,
Yep.
and then are you getting drilled down into the sand, or what's really
This
happening?
one actually popped me up, so the wave kind of detonated on the water, on the flatness of the water, the lip.
Yeah.
And it actually exploded me kind of up and out into like
you're
towards
in
the
this?
beach. Yeah, I'm getting thrown forward.
And you're in the air?
I'm pretty much in the air at this
Wow.
point, you know? The wave hits me, and it kind of, this wave kind of bounced me, and it exploded me forward, and I kind of went into this kind of front flip almost. And so it was pretty insane. But luckily walked away from it without being too messed up. My neck was probably sore the next day, but that's normal stuff.
Normal stuff, yeah, just normal stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
So
Dude, that's
stuff,
so
though.
gnarly. Wow. And then who took that clip? I just want to make sure I give him the credit.
this was Sam Schaefer, actually.
Okay,
really well-known surf videographer, photographer.
Dope.
Cool guy.
And then who did that clip?
This clip is from Jagger.
Okay, Jogger.
Jagger.
And that's you.
Yep.
That's you.
Yep.
That's you. Perfect.
Totally.
All right, now we're going to go through some Instagram stuff and then talk about
Yeah.
black ball.
Yeah, so black ball essentially is a rule that the people of Wedge decided to implement. It pretty much means you can only body surf in a certain time period. So from 10 to about 10 to 5 throughout the whole summer, you can only body surf the Wedge.
Okay, and
So,
why is that?
They just want to give the body surfers a chance to catch waves. When you do have surfboards and stuff and flotation devices, it's a lot easier to catch waves, and you know, body surfers end up getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
As well as the danger factor of having surfboards around body surfers. I think they just realized that accidents can happen a lot quicker
Yeah.
if everyone is together. So I think they're just trying to, you know, keep that from happening as far as just like injuries and bad collisions and stuff.
Do you want to just briefly touch on like the historical, because
Yeah.
you talked about body surfers, so
Right,
they
so
were
yeah.
there first.
Yeah, body surfers
Yeah.
were known to surf Wedge. I think in the late 70s, early 80s was when they first kind of started to get after it.
Yeah.
This guy named Terry Wade and Mel Tomlin, I think some of the most legit guys out there who started surfing it back in the day. I believe late 70s, early 80s. And yeah, this was when they're way before GoPros and Instagram
Yeah.
and you know, footage. And I mean, these guys were down there by themselves just scoring Wedge all day long. and no one even really knew about it.
Yeah.
I just learned actually that like some of the first exposure that Wedge had was in the movie Endless Summer.
True.
The first Endless Summer, and they featured Wedge. If you go watch the movie, they've got a Wedge clip in there, and it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it now actually a few years back, and they just really captured how powerful the Wedge is.
Yeah.
And I think in those clips, the waves were probably about 20 foot.
True.
And it was just strictly body surfers, I think.
It's crazy how sendy those guys were back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, they were. You know, I think fins were barely a thing.
Yeah.
At this point.
Swimming.
You know, there was no lifeguards.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't a lot of people looking out for them. So, you know, same with surfing back in the day. You know, not a lot of people. No one wore leashes. Leashes weren't even a thing.
Yeah.
Flotation devices weren't a thing, and it was just kind of you against Mother Nature, and so.
That's rowdy.
But it's quite the sacred kind of art form of being like one with the ocean. You know? Nowadays, you know, with our technology and stuff, we're kind of advancing, and you know, we are implementing more safety precautions with inflatable vests for big wave surfing. You know, you've got jet ski guys looking out for the surfers, you know, going in to kind of scoop them up out of a bad situation. So stuff like that. But yeah, Wedge is a place for hellmen and people who, you know, aren't scared to get extremely hurt. You know, just like any action sport.
Yeah.
You know.
How has technology? Speaking of technology, how has technology changed Wedge and the like vibe about it, and the way it's portrayed and the reality of it?
Yeah. So these days, Wedge has gotten a lot of traction lately, especially with all the filmers down there. Instagram is definitely one of the #1 reasons. There's a lot of exposure these days. Surfline, you know, they put a camera down there, and so you could turn the Wedge cam on at any part of the day and see what the waves look like. And so that does attract a lot more crowds, which kind of sucks for the locals, you know. We always want to, you know, try to have a smaller crew down there. And a lot of times it does attract, you know, people who are less experienced. And that's when accidents happen, you know. They want to essentially get the clout of paddling out at Wedge.
Yeah.
And they just are way undergunned with their experience levels and, you know, the boards they're riding. And I think they just don't really realize the effects that can happen
on other people as well.
Yeah, exactly. Accidents can happen, and it's a dangerous place.
Be careful before you go sending Wedge kids.
Yep. Yeah. Just if you're in doubt, you know, don't go out. That's a saying. You know, growing up on the North Shore.
Yeah.
You know, it was.
What was that clip you sent me with the kid's board that almost hit you?
Oh yeah. So
I'll show that clip too.
I essentially almost had a really bad collision with a guy's surfboard. Took off on a wave, and some guy kind of tried to burn me without knowing he was burning me.
Yeah. And what's burn mean, real quick?
Pretty much taking off in front of the other person and snaking the guy, essentially, which is a no-no for sure.
Definitely a no-no.
You're gonna get talked to if you're that guy for sure.
To.
It was kind of an innocent burn, you know. He didn't even see me, and the guy fell anyways. But his board ended up turning into a projectile missile and pretty much went straight like at me.
The clip's crazy.
Yeah, the clip's pretty gnarly, and you just see the board flying, fins moving, board spinning, and I pretty much just like put my arms up with I had my 360 GoPro at this time, and I kind of just went to block my, you know, head and my body, and luckily the board kind of just bumped me a bit, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and I think that's funny too, because a lot of people think that the wave is the most dangerous still, because that'll like ultimately be what like can like paralyze you or kill you and things like that. But still, like, boards are gnarly. Like other people's boards hitting you. Like I tried to surf this wave near Wedge. It's actually this wave, and I fell on my board, and my board like went into my side. Like the point of it, like literally just like went into my side. And, and I did stitches and stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so boards are gnarly.
It's gnarly, yeah. I mean, we have skags on our board, you know, fins.
Yeah.
And these things are practically razor sharp.
Yeah.
I mean, if you touch the back of a fin, it's a sharp edge. You
Yeah.
know? It's practically a knife, and so we're surfing with knives under our surfboards.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
And the nose of our board being a spear.
Yeah.
And it's heavy. You know, you gotta consider that shit can go sideways.
Yeah.
Really quick out there, and you gotta just kind of accept the reality of it, and make, you know, paddling out there. You're making calculated risks. You know, I mean, it's a spot of extreme, you know, things. You know, I mean, everything out there is extreme.
Yeah.
From just being in the water, the adrenaline levels that you get. Yeah, the vibe is it's high energy. And so, yeah, I mean, here we got another clip right here. This is an early season clip. Robbie Crawford actually got it.
Shout out
Longtime
Robbie Crawford.
legend Robbie Crawford, GoPro guru, getting me riding my catch surf. I've been riding catch surf for a while. They've got epic boards.
And they're foam, so they won't
and they're
impale
foam,
you.
and they won't impale you, exactly. So it's a safer bet. And they're super fun. I mean, I get so stoked on catch
Why?
surfboards.
Yeah. So why do you ride? Like, why would you choose to ride a foam board? Because you ride foam boards, but then you also ride hard boards.
Yeah,
too.
so I got
what's
I got catch surf kind of backing me with providing me some fun tools, you know, aka
tools?
surfboards,
Yeah.
to ride in some epic conditions. Yeah, it's just kind of a preference. I like the foamies. They're a little bit more fun. They're not gonna break. You know, a lot of times you take a hard surfboard out there, it's gonna snap. Like, whether it's tomorrow or next week, you know, your board is doomed the first day you bring it down there.
Really? Yeah. There's a clip of one of my friends, well, our friend Charlie,
Charlie.
and he broke his bonzer.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
Just snapped his
A
bonzer.
bonzer
in
is
half.
like you have a single fin and then these like little side fins.
Yep.
And yeah, he dropped into the wave.
It's like the sickest like vintage retro board.
and just snapped it.
and just snapped it in half. I mean, the board was like you should have like hung it on
Such
a
a
wall.
nice
you know?
board, and this
yeah,
is
and he took
done.
it to like the gnarliest spot in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Cylinders, which is right next to Wedge.
Yeah, exactly.
Just as gnarly, if not even more gnarly.
Really?
But it's
What makes you say
secret
that?
spot. Sorry, I didn't mean to say
Yeah.
the name of it. Just kidding.
What makes you say that it's like
It's
just as gnarly, if not more?
It's just the criticalness of it. There's not a lot of water underneath you. Actually, Max just pulled up a photo I posted yesterday of cylinders, and so Wedge is actually a left.
Yeah.
You're surfing left, and cylinders is a right. So you end up surfing right at the spot. I'm right. I'm goofy, so I surf backside it at cylinders. So I'm catching this wave on my backhand, and what that means is when you're dropping in, you're having to kind of grab your rail and kind of pull it, you know, towards you, and essentially, you know, I'm going right. So I'm grabbing my rail on my surfboard and I'm pulling right and I'm looking right. And you know, in this photo, it just encapsulates the intensity. You know, you can see that huge flare in the wave.
So nuts.
And I'm in a pretty good sized cavern.
Yeah, and then there's this second photo.
The second photo
I think
is
that's
just
more nuts.
Oh yeah,
That's
that water
so
going
insane.
over me. I mean, the amount
Different
of
colors, and then you're literally below. Like you
Yeah.
have the water in the forefront, and you can still see you in the frame.
totally. Yeah, it's a
Shout
wild.
out to Dingo.
Dingo, yeah, score the
What
shot.
a legend. That's a sick
Thank
shot.
Thank you, Dingo.
Yeah, thanks, Dingo.
But yeah, I mean, this spot is it's epic. It's incredible. You know, I'm so stoked that it's in my backyard.
Oh, yeah.
And I get to drive 10 minutes to one of the craziest waves in the world.
It really is. Oh, look at this. So this is on the 4th of July last year.
Yep, 4th of
And
July.
How big is this?
This is probably I'd say about a 15-foot face, California size.
Yeah. Like
Hawaiian.
like 3 foot.
3 foot Hawaiian, exactly. So yeah, some Californians might call this about 12 to 15. At least double overhead, so 12 foot. Maybe, you know, a foot or two bigger. But yeah, this is actually me and Sage Burke on a wave. And, you know, I really didn't mean to burn him. I did, you know, technically snake him, but what happened was you're so focused out there, and it's really hard to know if someone else is going to be dropping on the wave. I actually couldn't even see him dropping in because the wave kind of bent. And so when I was taking off, I looked back to see if anyone was behind me, you know, because I didn't want to burn somebody. and I actually couldn't see him because he was so far back and kind of around the bend of the wave.
Yeah.
And so by the time I dropped in and looked back, he was just kind of right there. And good thing the wave didn't do too much besides just a big wall to drop in on.
Yeah, that's the weird thing with this wave specifically, is there's no barrel or anything. It's essentially just like a big straight. You just go straight.
Yeah, it's just a big drop in, you know.
Yeah.
With surfing big waves, you know, you're not always going to get barreled. It's really more about just that huge drop and that adrenaline.
But you're probably going pretty fast too.
Oh yeah,
down that face.
I'm mobbing.
And how much board chop are you getting?
I got kind of a lot this day. You know, I was kind of riding a board that I wasn't super used to, and I did make the most of it though, and I was able to hold a pretty steady line, which was epic. But a really memorable session, July 4th. All the beaches were actually closed this weekend because of the pandemic, and us Chargers decided to send it at Wedge pre-dawn, paddling out at 5 a.m., you know, because we didn't know if the cops were going to kick us out or the police. And around 10 o'clock, actually, the helicopter sheriff showed up and kind of
get out of the
got
water.
on his on his mic and just called us out of the water, or else we were gonna get tickets. But really cool session.
How many people were out there that day?
There was a select few. I'd probably say about 10 to 15 guys.
Yeah, that's the thing, because Wedge is normally packed. It's like,
and on a day like this, it
gills.
separates the boys from the men. Pretty much. You know, for the most part. There are some younger kids who are kind of charging these days. You know.
Was anyone shooting water that day?
I don't think so. It was kind of a heavy day. Actually, Jacob Moss did paddle out this day and shoot some water, if I'm not mistaken.
And that's just death.
But yeah, big heavy day at Wedge.
Wow.
Classic Wedge, honestly. We haven't had a day like this in a little while.
Yeah.
At least this season. This was in July last year, so you know we can expect maybe something like this in the next couple months.
Crossing fingers.
Yeah.
How much does Wedge even like get good?
Yeah,
And
so
that's the thing. I think I misunderstood this as like a skier and just like watching surfing. In my mind, I'm like, it's always pumping.
Right.
It's like how skiing, you can just show up. Like if there's snow, you go ski. Even if it's like good or bad, you can still ski.
You can still ski.
But literally, like there's days where you just cannot surf Wedge.
Yeah, Wedge actually goes into hibernation for 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
From about let's say about November to April.
Too.
It's flat.
Yeah.
There's no waves. It's during the winter, you know, it doesn't pick up that north swell. So it's pretty much like a lake down there. But once that summer comes around, those south swells start you know, feeding in, and it turns it back on. And so, you know, we get 6 months of waves.
Yeah.
And then we got to wait for 6 months. It's kind of a trip.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the local scene too at Wedge and like kind of how that works?
Yeah, so you know, there's a couple different generations down there. You know, we've got the up and coming generation, and then you've got the older generation. You know, the body surfers who started coming down there in the '80s, and you know, they are the OGs for sure. You know, you gotta respect these body surfers. You know, they're kind of the pioneers of Wedge, and I personally don't know too many of them. You know, I feel like. I feel like I'm just slowly but surely kind of getting some introductions to these older guys, and they're a little less seen, you know. They're getting a little older, so they're not charging as much, but they will always be the original OGs, and so you've got them, and then you've got the younger generation, you know. The generation of softboards almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, catch surf, you know, definitely
catch surf
made a
and
name
Instagram.
for you know, bringing some softboards down there, which isn't a bad thing. You know, it's a little safer, like we talked about, and you know, it brings a bit of fun to the Wedge. You know, I don't think surfing should be super serious. You know, we do kind of get into a game on phase of when we're out there, and we
depends on the vibe too. Like different days or different vibes, depending on also on the size and how many people are there.
Yeah, so the Wedge is definitely known for being pretty intense. So sometimes the energy can be kind of serious, you know, especially if the waves are heavy. But if it's a little smaller, you know, it's a little more playful. You pull out the catch surf and, you know, get some waves on the foamy, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you know, I think everyone should be able to surf wedge if you have the capabilities. Just know your limits, you know.
Yeah.
If in doubt, don't go out. And you know, kind of respect the locals, you know, like respect the people who were there first. It's kind of their home, you know, their second home, and you know, you don't want to go barging into somebody's house and you know, act like you own the place, which is totally just like a cliche thing to say in surfing. Is just like respect locals, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing. So yeah, going down there, just be stoked and you know, try to make friends with some of the guys that have been down there for a long time, and you should be fine.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
Why do you love wedge the most over like other waves you've surfed? Like what really like is the, when it comes down to it, like what is the
determining factor?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I grew up on the North Shore of Oahu, just the mecca of surfing. You know, we got Pipeline, we got Waimea Bay, we've got the outer reefs, crazy waves.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just
debatably like the best surfing in the world.
The best surfing
yeah.
in the world for sure. You know, notorious Pipeline
Yeah.
is definitely up there, probably number one. So I think just growing up around such crazy waves drew me in to start surfing wedge
Yeah.
about 6 years ago. And I just never stopped going since. You know, it's just the fact that it's very intense. You know, I'm kind of about that. Growing up, I surfed a lot of heavy shore break on the western side of Oahu, where I spent my high school days. And there's some really heavy waves with high consequence, and it just became kind of second nature for me to surf these heavier hollow waves. And so as soon as I saw the wedge, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And I haven't been.
You're like game on.
Yeah, I've been going ever since, and it's been epic. I mean, if you peek at my Instagram, it's pretty much all waves of wedge. Like, to
There's
be
some
honest.
Tahiti though.
Yeah, I did a little trip to
Yeah.
Chopu last year with our buddy Charlie, and it was an epic trip.
Real quick, you wore a helmet in Tahiti, but you don't wear one at wedge.
Yeah.
Why
so
is that?
Tahiti is a reef break.
Yeah.
So the ground is actually all coral, hard coral heads, and you know, if you slap your head on one of those coral heads,
Good night.
good night.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I actually might start wearing a helmet at wedge.
Really?
You know, no doubt.
Yeah.
Or yeah, no cap. Is that how you say
No
it?
cap, is what the kids say nowadays.
Yeah, no cap. Actually, yes cap.
Yes cap.
Yes cap. Yeah, so this is a video by Chris Monroe,
Okay.
Beef's official on Instagram. And I actually won Wave of the Summer with this clip.
Oh,
Full
the
barrel.
spit.
I'm on the Catch Surf Skipper.
Wow.
One of my favorite boards from the Catch Surf line. And it's a 5.6 quad fin, so it's super
Fast,
quick.
yeah.
And this barrel just let me in and it let me out. And it was probably one of the best feelings. I was completely blind the whole time. There was spit all around me and
Yeah.
I couldn't see anything. And just at one point, I just get poofed out. And, you know, I'm standing there just, you know, on my board still. And I
Alive
threw up a
and
little
well.
claim too, you know?
Yeah.
It felt too good to not. So,
That's
yeah.
sick. Wow. Yeah, do you have anything else you want to say to people who want to maybe go surf wedge, or they like your stuff, or
Right, yeah, you know, feel free to follow me. You know, I've got some pretty sick content, you know, mainly exclusive
Pretty sick
wedge
content.
stuff. So if you want to
Dawson
you know,
Tyler's
feel
on
like
Instagram.
you're you know, surfing, you can live vicariously through me. I'm constantly using the GoPro down there. I'm always trying to get sweet footage. But yeah, you know, wedge is a special place to me. It always will be. You know, I dread the day that I can't surf it, you know, because of an injury or me not living around here or something. So pretty much why I'm gonna stick around for a while.
Yeah, dude.
You know, I cut hair for my job, and I've been doing that for a long time. So I do a little balance of surfing and hair cutting. And yeah, I think wedge is just, it'll always hold a special place in my heart. You know, not to get sentimental or anything, but I mean, this spot is, you know, it's my second home for sure. And it's a crazy second home.
Yeah.
Just with all
Quite
the
a gnarly
different
home.
variables and moving parts, you know. My neck is sore, 5 days a week from that place. I should get back to yoga soon here. I think Wedge is just, it's a place that I can go and kind of reset if I'm having a bad day or something. Once I'm out there, I do get into this kind of meditative state, and there's a peacefulness to it, and I think like the idea of kind of getting out of your comfort zone is such a good feeling when it comes to like action sports and stuff, and doing things that aren't like comfortable. You think about Wim Hof and how he does these ice baths and stuff, and getting out of your comfort zone, and I think that's what Wedge does for me. It gets me out of my comfort zone. The amount of adrenaline that pumps through my body out there is insane. Not to mention the workout. I'm getting a free workout out there, and it's one of my main workouts lately. So it's a killer spot to get your heart going, and it's a cool place as far as like a social scene too. I got a lot of buddies who I've met down there, and every time I go down there, I love seeing everybody, and Wedges, it's like none other. It's such a cool place, and I hope that I can surf it for at least a few more years.
Yeah, dude. No,
I'm getting a little older, but it's a dangerous spot. But I'm gonna keep going back for more, and special place.
Dope, dude. Well, thank you for doing this.
Definitely.
Peace out. Check out Dawson Tyler's on Instagram for all your wedge clip needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone needs some wedge clips in their life, so give this guy a follow.
We're always looking for more content, and give you guys some good stuff to look at.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks again, bro.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching.